All right, good evening. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is the Kennedale City Council regular meeting, December 17th, 2024, 5:30 p.m. City Council Chambers, 405 Municipal Drive, Kennedale, Texas, 76060. Madam Secretary, may I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Michaels.
Here.
Place 1 Glover.
Here.
Place 2 Kobeck.
Here.
Place 4 Gary.
Here.
Place 5 Navarez.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this time, we're going to do our invocation and pledges of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. I'm going to ask Councilman Navarez to lead us in our invocation, Councilman Michaels to lead us in our pledges. If you'll please stand. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we're going to move into our public comment section, and the Kennedale City Council welcomes comments from the public. Those wishing to speak must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. Speakers may speak on any topic, whether on the agenda or not. The Kennedale City Council cannot act upon, discuss issues raised, or make any decisions at this time. Speakers under citizens' comments shall observe a 3-minute time limit. Inquiries regarding matters not listed on this agenda may be referred to staff or for research and/or possible future action by the board. And if you've not signed up wishing to speak, you can do so at this time. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody wishing to speak?
Yes, sir, we do. Danny Renfro.
There it is. Okay. My name's Danny Renfro. I've lived here in Kennedale for 26 years. Really quiet neighborhood down on Swinney Heights. We have seen a lot of growth in that area at the time. We don't come down here because we have never really needed to. So you see how important it is for me to put this matter on record. Just to let the city know, me and my neighbors' feelings on this matter. We had a meeting with Nathan yesterday, a really good meeting and everything, and he cleared up a lot of stuff with us and everything. I know he had a rough day. We apologize. But back in August, the house in front of us was sold, 1422 Swinney Heights, and now we have come to find out to who. We live in a R3 zoned area, very quiet and secluded, but this sold to a construction company out of Austin. We have met the owner a few times, and my neighbor has had to call him several times about noise complaints. His name is Eli. He plans to never live in our neighborhood. His intentions are to allow his workers that are in town to stay there. Sounds okay, but now it can sometimes be 20, 30 people over there at a time, and the loud music and the noise is not very pleasant, to say the least. They took 60 days to mow their front yard, and we had to call Todd to get that done. When they don't have to work that day, they just hang out and drink beer all day, and it makes my wife very uncomfortable. She is retired and sometimes only one around. And that usually is when the music gets cranked up. They have mowed the grass 2 times since August. They don't take the trash out. It piles up around back and blows all over everyone's yard. Nothing like doing trash detail for someone else. Now they're erecting a 7-foot metal fence on 3 sides, and we talked about it yesterday. It should be pretty much open on the front side. We have met with Nathan and talked to Todd several times, and Brad too. We have met Nathan yesterday, and he pretty much said it's a done deal. Run by the planning and zoning, and it's a done deal. In the old code, it says nothing about metal, but in the amended version, it says decorative metal. I'm not sure that I agree our panels are decorative metal, so I'm in a disagreement there. But that being said, we were probably stuck with what we got. I was hoping for a quiet family to buy in our neighborhood, but that didn't happen, and this is what we have. I thought R3 meant single family housing, not a construction flop house. Thanks for listening. And the other thing it says in there, it has to be common to the neighborhood or aesthetically appeasing to the neighborhood. And I'm not sure what that is, whether that's broad or whether the planning and zoning has to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Sarah Johnson.
Hello, I'm Sarah Johnson. I live at 221 Village Street. I'm also the Director of New Senior Outreach Kennedale, and I just wanted to come tonight and thank everybody, including city administration, different city councilmen, for backing our Thanksgiving food drive. We had 210 meals that were given to seniors. I want to thank Mr. Pennington. He gave a large majority of the turkeys, and one of our roofing companies. Next time I'll remember the name. I don't remember it right now, but it's a fairly new one here, and they also donated quite a few. I want to appreciate all the businesses. And also a Thrive Coffee Place has asked me if they could help me with our belated Christmas bingo game for the seniors, and that's going to be January 11th from 2 to 5. And the first 2 coffees are on me, and then we will also be serving food. So come out, encourage the seniors to come out. They do have to sign up at the senior center or with me, so we'll make sure we have the right amount at Thrive. So it should be, we have generous prizes, so encourage the seniors to come out. It's like, I do this every once in a while for them, and so January 11th at Thrive. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
I
Any
don't have
others?
No, sir.
Anybody else wishes to speak? All right, then we're going to move into our presentations. And at this time, we've got a presentation regarding city engineering services as presented by Westwood Engineering. Riley, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me tonight. My name is Riley Perolik. I'm with Westwood Professional Services. It's a civil engineering firm that's here in Fort Worth. We have multiple offices across Texas, 9 to be exact, through Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and other smaller surrounding areas of those larger metropolitan places. Part of the reason I wanted to come and speak with you is me and Brad have been having conversations throughout most of the year. I think we started our communication back in June or so. We kind of reached out to each other. I'm an old Kennedale ISD alumni. I went to Texas A&M, got my bachelor's in civil engineering, and I've been working in the Metroplex since 2018 full-time with this company. As I mentioned, grew up in this area. My parents moved to Kennedale in 1996 when I was about 18 months old. Ran around these streets, was all over the place, went to Patterson, and then moved my way up all the way through Kennedale High School. Played sports, which I guess, Coach Barrett is still around here, still doing his thing. He was one of my coaches at one point in time too. So it just meant a lot that I was able to at least have a communication with Brad, and I've had a couple lunches with him and Daryl and got to speak with them. And I shared my interest of how it'd be very meaningful to be able to come and talk to the rest of council and talk to y'all about how potentially myself and my team could help out the city of Kennedale with any engineering services that are needed here. We're a multidisciplinary firm that takes care of a lot of things. And I will start my presentation from here. So Westwood, we're a large company. Like I mentioned, we have 9 different offices in the state of Texas. We have a few other offices across the country. I'm not going to try to name each of the states, but we're located in different areas. What Westwood is we're split into primarily 4 departments. We do renewables, power delivery, land development, and public infrastructure. I'm part of the public infrastructure team, the public infrastructure division, and my team is with municipalities. I've been, since I graduated from A&M, I've been working on this team with the same supervisors and same support staff, and we work with cities all over DFW area. We help out some of the other offices across Texas when they need power workflow balancing and into the type of services. As I mentioned, we're multidisciplinary. We focus in pretty much anything that you could ask for and help with. From a municipal standpoint, I can help and assist with planning. We do traffic signal analysis and design. We do hydraulics and hydrology for floodways and channels. We do pavement design, water, wastewater, surveying, really any type of service that you could need. If it's not myself that would be working on that for the city, we would have somebody inside of our office located here in Fort Worth. Again, as I mentioned, we're a nationwide firm, so we do this across many states in the country. We have over 480 professionally licensed civil engineers. I've had my license since March of 2022, so I've been practicing for the last 2+ years, going on 3 years, and I'm looking to see, how could I benefit and help Kennedale, and how could we work together. Here's some of our office locations. As I mentioned, I wasn't going to try to name them all. We're in different states, but primary focus, you can see we're very heavy in the state of Texas, and we're very proud of our public infrastructure work, and we do a lot of work for different cities, very comparable in size and to larger, such as cities of Dallas and Fort Worth. So solutions to your success. Our vision statement at Westwood is we're a nationally renowned leader in our industry that clients trust, competitors respect, and employees love. With being in public infrastructure, part of the work that I do is to be able to make sure that I'm doing the best for communities. All of our projects are selected and funded by taxpayer dollars and grants, and we have to make sure we're giving back to the public as best as possible. With that, getting into public infrastructure, as I mentioned, these are some of the focuses that my team and myself will be able to help bring. Primary focus in road design, hydraulics and hydrology. That's going to be your floodways and channels throughout the cities. Water and sanitary sewer design. Everybody needs them in their houses, and every commercial building has to be connected and hooked up to be able to be occupied. Traffic analysis, whether that's, I know Kennedale's, we're pretty proud of, we've got, whether you're proud or not, but we got several roundabouts that were revolutionary about 10, 12 years ago. And I remember them being installed, but that's part of what civil engineers do, is to analyze and figure out, are stop signs needed, are traffic signals needed, or can a roundabout be put in and work? And sometimes it takes a community a while to get on board and get around it. I remember learning how to drive when they first were put in here in Kennedale, so I understand the frustrations that come with them, but I would have to say overall, from an efficiency standpoint, they're one of the best designs that you could have inside of a city. As mentioned, land surveying, whether it's setting up for a new project that is to be designed, or if it's a new park or something that needs to be, the bounds need to be set up to figure out if the city wants to acquire a piece of land to build a new park or a new municipal facility for whether the fire, the police, or partnering with school districts or something like that to work on. We have land surveyors that are available. One I haven't mentioned yet is we do have landscape architecture. We have a beautiful, City of Kennedale has a beautiful city hall complex that landscape architectures helped with at one point in time with the vision of the City of Kennedale to put something together to host events. I saw y'all just had your Christmas with Santa. Y'all had a Christmas with Santa, and I've seen a trunk or treat type events that have been posted online. Being able to host stuff like that is what helps bring communities together. And then last but not least is the planning aspect. I know that Kennedale is kind of landlocked. There's still room for growth and opportunities in the city, but for the most part, it's more so maintaining what the city has right now, and how can infrastructure be built better and reconstructed to make sure that the the mature city that Kennedale is able to be sustainable and keep moving forward. A little bit right here. I'm sorry, I wish this was a little bit bigger for y'all to see, but I just wanted to show you that this is what our team is. This is our Fort Worth office. All of these members, most of them I've been working with for 5 of the 8 years that I've been at Westwood, and they all have a specific role that we play, that they play in making sure that the team works together well. But these are some faces that, you know, should the city of Kennedale and Westwood have some opportunities to work together in the future, that these are some familiar faces that would be coming by and helping out with whatever the projects are. I would be acting as project manager, that I work hand in hand with each of the people on here, whether it's Dylan Burton with the water and sewer, Jonathan Ironton on roadway design, the landscape department, traffic, all of those. We all work together, and we're all office out of our Fort Worth office. So it's easy for us to get over here. I think it took me, even with all the traffic and crazy stuff happening on the I-20, it took me 25 minutes to be able to get here for council tonight. So that just shows I'm easily accessible to be right down the road and help out and assist with anything the city may need. Yeah, a little bit of background. As I mentioned already, I'm a 12-year KISD alumni. Lived here since I was 1 year old. My parents actually moved in 2020 when my little brother graduated from high school. They no longer had kids going to school here, and they felt they needed to get a little bit further away from the city, and they moved down to Meridian, Texas, which is outside of Lake Whitney area off of Highway 6. But besides that, Kennedale's been my home for my whole life up until then. As I mentioned, I went to Texas A&M, got a bachelor's of science in civil engineering. I've been with the same public infrastructure team since 2018, full-time. I actually started as an intern after my sophomore year in 2016. So I try to count that I've known most of the folks that were on that team that I showed for 8+ years, and that just shows the testament of the team that we have and the work that we do, that we've been able to be sustainable and grow together and still have the same type of teamwork year over year. Something else I wanted to mention is I do represent the city of New Fairview as their city engineer. They're up 287 North. They're pretty much halfway between Decatur and downtown Fort Worth. It's a growing area. It's up in Wise County. They have a lot of growth that's happening up there that they're getting approached with. So focus up there is a lot more around the planning aspect. There's a lot more development reviews that I look over and make sure the development agreements are put in place to follow the city codes and regulations to make sure developers are coming in here and doing things the way that the city requires them to do. I've been doing that since the end of 2018, so it's been about 6 years of being up there and helping them. And as mentioned, obtained my engineering license in 2022, so I have been licensed for just about 3 years this spring. And with that, that is all I have. I would love to continue more conversation. Any questions that you'd have for me, anything you'd like to go over. I know I put together a packet that explained our resume, not just of myself, but of my company and of our team in further detail. I think Bobby Joe has put this on the computer, so if there's anything on there you'd like me to pull up and go over on that as well, I can. But I pretty much just wanted to come here and introduce myself and talk to the council and let y'all know who I am and let you know that I'd be happy and I'd be honored to represent the city of Kennedale and help y'all in the future with any of your engineering needs.
Thank you, sir. And just, I think your contact information is in here for the rest
Correct.
of the
I have, yeah, and there is contact information in there. My email is listed up here as well. That's my work email. But if you need any other contact information, there should be in the packets. They have.
And you know, I've got it. If anybody needs, you can ask myself or the city manager. Just real quick to give everybody a quick chance to question or comment. Would anybody like to, while he's here? Councilman.
Just a couple quick ones, Ms. Mayor. Thank you. First of all, I love the Pleasant Ridge roundabout. Big fan since that went up It's very beautiful.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to understand the dynamics on how you guys work. Obviously, you're the project manager, things go through you. But let's just take Jonathan, for example. He does roadway design. Is he the one doing the design, or does he have a staff, or like, how does that work?
So most of, yeah, sorry, let me get back to that. Yeah, so Jonathan, he is actually my direct supervisor. He actually focuses primarily in roadway design. He oversees all of the project from working with the cities and then digesting the project down to divvying it out. Underneath each of these subgroups, we have CAD workers and we also have engineers in training. So anytime that we're working on a roadway project, you'll probably have at least 2 or 3 people in the office working on it. Typically, the way a project runs is depending on the size of it and how many different parts of these teams need to be involved. Let's say it's just a roadway reconstruction project. You have some old neighborhood with some concrete streets that, they're starting to fail. They're about 25 years old. It's just, there's not much more work you can put into it that would sustain getting more life out of it. So rip it out and redo your roads is probably the best way to move forward. When you do something like that, we'd have Mike Lewis with Survey come out, inventory the road. Jonathan would digest it and have meetings with the city and talk about how would you like to implement this road? What is it that you want to go back with? Are there ways that you want to adjust it? Are you okay with going back with the same type of section? Once that happens, Jonathan will come back and we'll have a team meeting and we'll see, okay, what are the deadlines? What's the deliverables? What's the timeline we have, which is really the most important part. And from there is where we divvy up who's going to be working on that project. And at any given time, you'll typically usually have an engineer in training and a CAD tech that is good at drawing and putting things in the computer to make the construction plans look nice and pretty, and so that the contractor can follow them along very well. Does that help answer your
Yeah, and I
question?
think you answered my last question too, but I'll just ask it anyway so we can clarify. How do you approach, let's take your example of the road project, and I'm not talking about minor declination changes, but something major you have to do, like changing the curb or something. How do you guys handle it? Do you take it upon yourselves to do it yourselves, or do you come back to us?
That's completely how we set the contract up. There's many cities that we go with that they kind of already know, depending on the size of what the city is. They know what their typical section of a roadway looks like and what that neighborhood road needs to be. Usually every city has their own design criteria that tells you what the width of the road needs to be based off of what the type of road is. And then you typically have either an asphalt road or a concrete road. And one of the other aspects is, are you going to have a sidewalk? Is the sidewalk going to be on the side of the curb, or is it going to be removed from the curb some? And all those type of aspects, we've worked on projects before where one project I can give you an example of is right now we're working on Jefferson Lane with Grand Prairie, and they're going from a 2-lane each way divided roadway to they want to be 3-lane divided each way. The issue with that is you're adding a lot more room and they're not obtaining right of way. So by doing that, we've had to shrink in the medians and shrink in some of the turn lanes. And by doing that, there wasn't just a clear cut, here's what the road section's going to look over your 2,000 feet of roadway. We put together exhibits, and typically early on in the project, so that we're not spending a lot of time on something the city's not going to want, we will put together a package of different type of exhibits, bring it back to the city, talk with the city staff that's responsible for making those decisions, and figure out what's the best way to move forward with that project for the city. But in most other instances, like for some of the projects with the city of Fort Worth that I work on, it's a capital improvement project, and if it's a certain neighborhood, you're getting this certain street put in there. We just need the work to be done and engineered plans put together. There's not as much creativity and design, that type of mentality put into it. It's more of just a production project, whereas something with the city of Kennedale with the roundabouts that were put in here, that was more of a creativity of how does this get put in and how do we bring things around? How do we get pedestrian traffic to work with the roads in this area as well? Or if there's no pedestrian traffic, how do we maybe put in bike lanes that help with other things besides just automotive traffic?
So basically, you're saying you'll come back to us if it's something major?
If correct, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Other comments, questions? Well, thank you very much for presenting. It was very good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Next, we're going to move into our updates from the city council and mayor, and I believe we started with Councilman Glover last time. So Councilman Navarez, you're up.
Haha, David. Just kidding. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few items that I attended. I attended the Judge Gallagher retirement and picture hanging. He was out of the 396. He was originally appointed by Governor Bush, and he's been holding that position this whole time. If you work within his court or know him as a person, he's just such an amazing judge. I think one of somebody in his retirement said it was like an oasis in his courtroom, and they hit that spot on. So I just wanted to give him a good shout out. I know we're going to see him around the Tarrant County, so I'm not saying goodbye. I'll just see you later. I also went to Judge McCoy, Judge Walker's, and Judge Cook's Christmas party. As usual, it's always a fun event. Of course, there's the tree lighting. It was really fun. Out of all the events I've done recently, and let's say the last 5 years, I had the most fun at this current one. And that made the whole day just go by really quick for me. So a big shout out to the city staff, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Kenneth. A lot of people don't realize how much he does do behind the scenes on events. And this in one particular, he did a lot. So shout out to him. I did the Mayor Red Kettle Challenge, obviously, last Saturday. My wife and I did the Walmart. Some funny stories from that. One person thanked me as the mayor, which I think is more an insult to you, Brad, than me. And one lady asked if the money was going to Salvation Army or you, which I clarified for you that was the Salvation Army. The three most items I saw come out of Walmart, which I was surprised, number one was water. I thought there was a sale. I asked the guy if there was a sale. It was so much water. Two was oil, and three was beer. I was very surprised in that 2 hour period. But I think we did just over 200 in our just 2 hour period. And then last thing, I just want to mention that it's been a very busy month for my business, which means that other people's businesses are getting busier as well. And I think that's a great sign coming into the new year. I'm hoping that 2025 will be renewed vigor in all businesses to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Gary?
Just really reiterate two things Mr. Navarro said. The Christmas, hometown Christmas, very good job, city manager. Thank you for your help, Mr. Michaels, and everybody that did help out. It was very, very enjoyable for a lot of people I've heard, so I appreciate that. And then the Red Kettle, I can second you on the cerveza part. There was quite a bit of cerveza at 10 o'clock in the morning being sold at Walmart, but surprisingly, but outside of that, it was a lot of mayor questions. Who's the mayor, whatever, stuff like that. So outside of that, that's about it. And everybody have a Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good New Year.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, thank y'all for recognizing me for the hometown Christmas, but the main person that's really behind this, our city manager, Darrell Hull, for coming together and getting his staff to come up with great ideas for the community. It's fun. It gets better every year, and I'm really looking forward to next year. I did attend the groundbreaking for the new Dollar General Market. I think the mayor was there and Councilman Navarez was there too. Their plan on completion date is going to be sometime in April. On Saturday, of course, we've already talked about the Red Kettle ringing a bell. I was out there, but Saturday morning I attended the Emerald Hills Wreath Across America. There was 150 volunteers and supporters and 2 million nationwide laid wreaths to remember, honor, and teach. 840 wreaths were laid in Emerald Hills alone. And this year's theme was Live with a Purpose. And then on Sunday, I got to go to the community theater in the park, and they did a wonderful showing of Miracle on 34th Street. So if y'all haven't seen one of their shows, plan on doing it. I think they got one coming up this spring. Not sure what it is, but it's always enjoyable every time I go. And I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Kobeck?
A big shout out there to City Manager for Hometown Christmas. It really was an awesome event. And then this past Saturday, ringing the bell. I think I managed to hit all 3 locations for ringing the bell. That was kind of interesting. I was too busy to notice what people were walking out with, but there were a lot of people walking out with stuff. And I didn't get any other questions other than they wanted to know whether the funds that were raised stay in the area. And yes, that's one of the things that the Salvation Army does, is the funds that are raised in a local area tend to stay in that area and be used. And they do a tremendous amount of good for the community. Their motto is doing the most good, and they definitely live up to it. Madam Secretary, I don't know if the lieutenant's been in contact with you, but he did text me and said that he would let us know as soon as he could how much we raised, and when he does, I'll be sure to let you know so we can get that out to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Glover?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like everyone else said, it was an amazing hometown Christmas. My family had a great time doing the countdown. Thank you to Mr. City Manager, the staff, and to the volunteers who were there as well. Just wonderful turnout. That's pretty much my update for this session. I was out of town this last weekend at the Army-Navy game, which is a fun event as well. Highly recommended. And Navy won, which is even better. So I will look for another opportunity to ring the bell before Christmas is over. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Quite an experience. That one's on my bucket list, by the way. So first off, just a couple items. I did attend Judge Tim O'Hare's open house, Christmas open house. I think it was the 12th. It was the 12th. It was nice to get to chat to Judge O'Hare and just kind of hear some of the things that he's done and doing throughout Tarrant County. Additionally, I attended the groundbreaking ceremony at the Dollar General Market and really excited to have that. And congratulations to everybody. Mr. City Manager, I know you worked hard to kind of make that happen, so job well done. And yes, sir. Hometown Christmas, I think I would echo everybody's sentiments. It was great. Mr. City Manager, job well done to you and your staff, and I just am going to have to let you know that you've started the precedent for fireworks. So you're going to have it every year now. I think everybody can agree on that, right? But job well done. Got a lot of positive feedback and just a really nice event. Additionally, the Salvation Army Red Kettle Challenge. I want to thank our council for helping out, our staff. Really great day. It was kind of hot, actually. I felt like I got sunburned. But it was a lot of fun. I got some interesting questions myself. I will spare you. One person came up and gave me a hug and like, hey, you know. But I didn't notice what people were buying, but there were some unique individuals. Councilman Gary and I were up there, and we had one that I think stayed probably 15, 20 minutes, and I think she gave you a hug too. That was nice. So, but again, thank you guys for helping out, especially Councilmember Kobeck. You really did a fantastic job, and all your organization, and just a wonderful heart of service. So. With that being said, I think that's all I got, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year. I don't know about you guys, but ready for 24 to go, and let's bring on 25. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to City Manager Hull.
Thank you. Yes, it was a great hometown Christmas. Very proud of it. More importantly, I'm very proud of our staff. They're the ones that went out and actually made it happen. And it takes every one of them to do so, including the citizens itself, for coming out. Just rough numbers for how many did come out. I'm going to assume every cell phone had a person with it. So we roughly had 3,500 cell phones at 6 o'clock. That's not including any kids or anything like that. So just kind of give you a rough number of how many was in our park. So if you thought it was crowded, the answer was yes, it was. And it's a very huge shout out to our staff, our social media, our contacts, so just sharing it with our public. So I'm very proud of that. And once again, proud of the council itself, one, for allowing it to happen. I think it was a very great partnership with the EDC and the city council and the citizens, and look forward to doing it again next year. I'm not sure how we're going to beat the fireworks, but it's a good challenge to have. Yeah, we will. Also, just get a infrastructure update of what's going on in the city. We still have sewer and water projects in the process. We're going through the bidding, or not necessarily bid, going out for proposals, mainly dealing with the Hillside Sewer Project. We have the one on North Road, which will be going through the same thing with Tarrant County. The SCADA system, which is the software for the water system, we're still going through that process. That should be coming to an end pretty quick, and I think Arlington will be very proud of that. That was a huge step in the right direction of the city of Kennedale just getting in today's times. So that's a big jump for us. We also have the sewer projects going from Texas Raceway all the way to Interstate 20. We're still in the engineering process, so we're still hitting about the 30% mark. We're still looking for construction probably late 26, early 27. Other than that, we still have the road projects for New Hope Road, Swinney High, and Eden Road. Those are still projected to start hopefully in January or February, and may be delayed a little bit. Tarrant County seems to have had some cancellations, so they may be able to bump us up on the time frame. If that happens, we'll definitely be using Tarrant County Precinct 2 to make those projects happen. But short for that, that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Now, our financial reports for the city and the EDC, excuse me.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Felicia Diggs, and I'm with your Finance Department, here to present November's financial report. Starting with the general fund, our property tax revenue to date is $791,458, which is 12.7% of our total budget. Last year, our receipts at this point were 10.1% of our budget, which places us ahead of pace. Please keep in mind that we will see the bulk of our property tax receipts in January. Fiscal year to date sales tax revenues were $1,140, which is less than 1% of the budget. This is typical as sales tax receipts are delayed by 2 months. Our first significant receipts of the fiscal year will be on the December report. General fund expenditures were at 16.4% of the total budget, which includes one-time large expenses like our insurance. With that said, with 16.7% of the year behind us, our spending is within our budget. Our reserve percentage is 26%, which is what we expect the number to climb as the property tax receipts increase over the next 3 months. As a reminder, our policy is to stay above 18%, with a goal not exceeding 25%. At the time of publishing, we did not receive the revenue information for the water, sewer, and stormwater funds from the city of Arlington, so we are expecting the revenues to keep pace with the expenses in each fund. Regarding the EDC, we are in the same sales tax situation as the general fund. Rental fees are at 11.3% of the budget, but we did not receive the November activity before publishing. Rental income is keeping pace with our budget. Operations and town center expenditures are both trending within our budget. Our reserve in the EDC fund is 627 days. Anybody have any questions? No?
Thank you, ma'am. Now we're going to move into our regular session, and up first is our consent agenda. Does anybody have anything that they would like to pull? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion, we could approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? And for the record, all opposed with the like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously. Next, moving on to our items for individual consideration, discussion, and/or action. First, we have, backed away from the microphone there. First, we have discuss and take action to sell the Kennedale EDC property located at 600 West Kennedale Parkway as recommended by the Kennedale Economic Development Corporation. Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, Mr. Pennington, do you mind coming up and just giving us a broad vision that you may have for this property that you can share with the council? I know we're still in preliminary vision, but I think it's something great for the council to hear.
Well, he doesn't get one. Is Jeff or?
A stakeholder, oh, that's better. A stakeholder, I've been here, many years. I own Red's Roadhouse and a couple other properties. This has been an interesting process because I've watched this, I pass it, and I have passed this tract every day for over 10 years. And have always been interested in it. So probably in the last 6 months, I kind of got more interested and started to poke around and see how it was structured, who owned it, what I could do with it. And as you already know, it's a very, very challenging site. Very, very shallow and long. And the most obvious so far, all the energy has been spent trying to pursue a couple retail options, including a tunnel car wash, because it's very, very long and narrow. And then other retail uses that are close to it. The one that I showed you there just happens to be a prototype of a coffee, drive-through coffee, and then car wash, and then to the north, I'm not sure how much land is left when it's ultimately planned out, but probably more retail or office. And so, we've looked at it. We've had a number of land planners look at it, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge to the south because of the elevation difference. Access off of 287 is actually, I was going to say limited, but it's not even limited. It's impossible. So it will come off of Bowman Springs. And we think that it's a valuable site for the city of Kennedale. And I think it should be a very, I think it fits. We hope that the tunnel idea works because it doesn't exist. We know the economics of it, and I think that the people that we've talked to in the business have said that it's an ideal location for that business and for very few other businesses, because I think we only have less than 100 feet in depth. And so, I want just cautionary to make sure that, that's a preliminary, that's concept. It may not be exactly like that. That's got 2 lanes, probably can't have 2 lanes in the final analysis. But, we think it's a great location. We're anxious to develop the site, and we think we have done enough research to know that it's viable. And we appreciate the support from the Economic Development Council, and we would respectfully ask for the support of council tonight. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you, sir. Open the floor for questions, discussion.
Mr. Pennington, can you just tell us a little bit about your more recent project that you had in Johnson County, your big project?
We have a project at the corner of Chisholm Parkway and 67, next to Cleburne's Railroaders Minor League Stadium. And it's mixed use. It has apartments, it has townhomes, it has a town center to it, healthcare, as well as a hotel. And the truth is, it's the biggest thing I've ever done. I mean, we've done, I think, 3 or 4 projects here in Kennedale, 30 or 40 overall. But, you know, the commercial market is, it's a different animal in a lot of ways, but not the least of which is it often takes place over a relatively long period of time. And so it's not unlikely to have, in that case, that's 197 acres, I think. A decade from now, we will be selling pieces of that off, whether it's for multifamily or it's a restaurant or, you know, whatever. But this project here lends itself to developing the strip. I believe it's less than 4 acres, roughly. And you know, we think that we can put retail on 3/4 of it, and we think that, you know, the economics of the tunnel car wash, it sounds not very, you know, glamorous, but it's a great business. And if I told you this is not a place where you play games, so I'm not going to ask you the question of how many cars do you think go through a successful car wash, but the answer to that question is as many as 1,500 a day. And so it's viable. And I think that's, you know, from the standpoint of City Council and the EDC, I think that's important. So, you know, we're anxious to take it on. I think we have the, you know, the manpower, the horsepower to do that. And like I said, you know, we have, we've been here a while. Reds is, I believe, 12 years old. And I will tell you the story. I should tell you the story. This is all recorded, isn't it? Oh, hell, I'll tell you the story anyway. We've only, at Reds, to my knowledge, we've only had one incident where somebody left Reds that perhaps may have had more to drink than they should have. And this person, I won't mention whether it's a man or a woman, but this person forgot that there were roundabouts on Little Road. And you probably can attest to this. And so this car is found high-centered on the roundabout on Little Road, cutting, you know, kind of cutting back across into Arlington. But other than that, I think we've been a responsible patron, or whatever it's called, in Kennedale for a long time. And we intend to stay. So anything that that I can answer about what our mission is, what our vision is, I'm happy to do that. But I do think that it's a viable property. We wouldn't tackle it if it wasn't. It has all the challenges that would come from a commercial development. And again, I want to caution, what I showed you there is concept. So, you know, it may be narrower, it may have one lane, it may stack differently, it may have an access off of Bowman Springs that's, you know, different than shown there. But in general, that's our vision for it. So I'll answer any questions anybody might have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other questions, comments?
I've got one quick clarification. Mr. Pennington's owner, with car washes, that's not a taxable service, right? It's not, a car wash is not a taxable service, meaning we as a city wouldn't see any tax revenue from that.
Oh, it's taxable. Unless I'm mistaken, the research that I did, you know, it is no different than going to a restaurant. It's a service that's taxed. Now, I could be wrong. That's my understanding.
We should probably clarify that because Google's saying something else, so I would be curious to know. But really, it's more about that land's been sitting there for a long time. We've talked about the EDC bidding. We just wanted to make sure when we hand it off to you or to another developer that it's benefiting the town long-term. So happy to see something get done with it. It's been there for ages. So thank you for taking it on.
Other comments, questions?
I think I'm excited to have something done there. I like the idea of you trying to work with what little bit of property we do have here in the city of the EDC to try to get something done. I think my concerns is me and Mr. Hull talked earlier today is just to make sure, kind of reiterate what Mr. Glover said, we make sure that the whatever concessions made on the price of the property to get you interested, to get you going on it, that we recoup that over a certain amount of time, you know, to help our citizens in the long run. But thank you for doing that, and look forward to trying to make sure we get it right.
Other questions, comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just to follow up with that to Chris over here. The property is one of the oldest properties we've had on the books, so it's been there for a very long time. Obviously, it's very weird. Everybody knows how it's designed. We've only had one other interest before, and that was going to be tiny homes, and we were saved from tiny homes on the corner by a 2 days expired contract because of the ingress of 287 to that property. Since then, we've had really nobody interested in it. So for me, I understand there was some concern with the price, and I've been saying on the record at the EC meeting, I would give it away if it brought in taxes because it's just been sitting there for so long. And also, it will be a catalyst for the rest of the street moving down, and also the corner across the street. So I think it's a good move either way, whatever the price is. Again, I would give it away if we could. Just another comment too, Mr. Pennington, I've known him for a long time. He's done a lot of development in DFW. If he's putting his name on it, he doesn't just develop for profit. He develops because he's putting his name on it, and he would be proud of it at the end of it. I know him as a developer to be that way, and that's just all I have to say about that, Mr. Harden.
All right, thank you. Other comments, questions? Mr. City Manager? Yes, sir.
Mr. Pennington, if the council approves us to move forward, what would a time frame you would look at? When do you think we'll actually see a product?
I think it would take 9 to 12 months to get, because it all has to come back through here. I mean, so the concept is going to, go through planning and zoning and council again. So I think realistically, I think it would be 9 months. Almost regardless of what it ends up being, it's another 9 to 12 months to develop it. So I think before you can stick a credit card in anything is, less than 2 years, but not much before. I mean, like, a year and a half to 2 years before to be realistic about it.
Okay, thank you. And also, as we move forward, some of the things that we have talked about is a 380 agreement, which is in reference to the property itself, or tax incentives. So with approval tonight, based off of that, we would continue to move forward a 380 agreement and have clarification of exactly what will be built, the tax incentive associated with it, and a time frame. So we would put that in there with the stipulations of the agreement to indicate there's a time, an actual business of what that's going to produce. So we'll have more information as we go forward with the 380 agreement. And for some reason, if Mr. Pennington's not able or capable of producing what's being brought to the council, the city would have the option of purchasing that property back to look for someone else or whatever the case might be. With that, I have full confidence in Mr. Pennington to being able to follow through for whatever product we can come up with to put on that property. We are limited, and it's mainly the space itself. There's a right-of-way easement that goes through there, which is what's making everything very complicated of putting a product. If you have any questions about the 380 or what you would like to see in it, I'd love to hear that as well. But some of the topics that has been brought to my attention so far is a time limit. What type of tax incentive would that be? Can we get our monies back on the profit of the land itself? So if the market value just says 100,000, can we recoup that 75,000 that's there? And that's what that 380 agreement can be to get that back, either through property value or property tax or a sales tax, or just the 380 agreement itself for the land.
So to confirm, Mr. City Manager, 380 agreement, just to make sure that would come back through the council as far as when Mr. Pennington decides what he's going to build.
That's correct.
And then the timeframes of when he would be able to, he suggests he could build that depending on
That's correct.
product and weather and everything like that.
Yes, sir.
And then we could put the hard numbers on it.
Yes, sir.
Recoup
This
some of
is,
that.
yeah, this is the start of the conversation for Mr. Pennington and myself to go through the 380 agreement and also consult with our city attorney and make sure all the verbiage is correct. Obviously, for Mr. Pennington to know what the expectations are for the city. And once that 380 is written and where we believe is satisfactory for the council, that 380 agreement will come back to the council for approval. Once that approval takes place, obviously, the green light will be for Mr. Pennington to get started. The time will start ticking.
Any other? If there's no other questions, comments, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the EDC property located at 600 West Kennedale Parkway as recommended by the Kennedale Economic Development Corporation.
Do we have a second?
I will second it.
All in favor? And for the record, all opposed with a like sign. Madam Secretary, the motion passes unanimously. It is 6:27. Let's take a quick 5-minute stretch break.
Thank you, council.
6:35, we're going to go ahead and reconvene here. And at this time, we're going to move the order around, and we're going to go into executive session, pending the council is okay with that, pursuant to Section 551.0171, to consult with the city attorney, and also pursuant to Section 551.074, personnel matters with certain deliberations about officers and employees of the governmental body to be held in executive session. So if the council is okay with it, at 6:35 PM, we're going to go into executive. Could we have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? And for the record, sign. All right, the time is 6:55 PM, and we are going to reconvene into regular session. And this brings us to individual item number 2, discuss and take action on the appointments of chair and vice chair for the following boards, commissions: Kennedale Economic Development Corporation, Kennedale Planning and Zoning Commission, Kennedale Board of Adjustment, Keep Kennedale Beautiful, Kennedale Parks and Recreation Board, and the Town Center Board. Madam Secretary, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. I have the following suggestions for the boards, and then you guys can make that motion if you would like. On the EDC board members, board chair is Mark Yeri, vice chair Marcel Terry, planning and zoning chair Michael Brown, vice chair Andrew Makowski, board of adjustment chair Kelly Rod, vice chair Pat Vader, Keep Kennedale Beautiful chair Kimberly Courtney, vice chair Lori Sanders, Parks and Recreation Board chair Corey Hines, vice chair DeVille Coleman, and the Town Center Board chair Jeff Navarez, and vice chair Chris Gary.
So moved.
Thank you.
All right, so it's time for everybody's favorite motion. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
We do need a second
Oh,
for her.
I'm sorry.
I will
it.
second, Mr. Mayor.
All right,
And now just make a motion to adjourn.
I will second, Mr. Mayor.
all right. It is 6:57 PM and the meeting is adjourned. Merry Christmas, everybody.